Uh, Everybody can see that okay, yeah?
Yeah, thank you.
Great. So my name is Pedro. I teach theatre at Middlesex University. Which is a research project funded by the European Union. It's a project that involves partners in there you go, 5 countries: in Poland, in Greece, in the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, and Italy. I'm going to talk a little bit, it's going to sound very official here now, but this is the project's overall aim, and this is, as written in the project's documentation, is to develop innovative, future-oriented processes, tools, and methods, personal and professional development among European university students, early-stage researchers, and including, but not only those who aspire to enroll in university. And it has 3 intellectual outputs. The first one, and by the way, this is a 3-year project, and we are now just finished the 1st year, so we're kind of completing intellectual output 1, and that's kind of looking at what might be the design principles for a future-oriented program. The next intellectual outputs create a toolbox, a foresight toolbox, and a training manual for university students and early stage with future-oriented competencies. And stage 3 is adapting that toolkit and that training manual for high school students. So this is kind of like the spiel of the European Union, but it seems incredibly dry. So what I'm hoping to do is kind of to go back a little bit and say, where does this begin in my heart, really? And I discovered some time ago this discipline that I hadn't heard of called future studies, which, according to the World Future Studies Federation, is the systematic study of possible, probable, and preferable futures, including worldviews and myths that underlie each future. And I really like the idea that futures is plural here, not just one future, number of possible futures, and that's already kind of thinking about that already can be quite empowering. And there are 2 kind of main areas that future studies kind of deal with. One is anticipation for the future, which is your ability to plan. It involves foresight, it involves thinking potential future scenarios and so on. And anticipation for emergence, which has to do with your ability to deal with the unexpected, with stuff that just happens and you're not sort of entirely, well, yeah, you're not expecting that kind of just appears in front of you, and your ability to adapt to that. When I came across this discipline and these thoughts from it, I kind of started thinking that this has to do with theater. We do a lot of this kind of stuff in theater already. Devising is a futures-oriented process where we create something new to allow for the unexpected to emerge. Directing has some degree of foresight into it and planning to a potentially desirable outcome. Improvisation has a lot to do with emergence. And of course, applied theatre practices and theatre of the oppressed are, as Augusto Boal would have said, they're rehearsals for life. So they really are opportunities for us to think about different ways in which life can be lived. And I thought that theatre had to learn from futures, and futures could learn from the theatre as well. So I got together with some futurists. We did some work. Before this project began, our first kind of attempt was working with some unaccompanied minors seeking asylum in Greece. So my sort of first partnership in kind of exploring this area with the Greek partners, and then they brought me into this larger consortium for this research project, which is about kind of looking at futures competencies for personal and professional development. So social change, answering the questions that we're asked to answer, it's about empowering young people to use the future to make choices in the present. In other words, to become futures literate. And that's, according to UNESCO, it's a skill. Futures literacy is a capability fundamental for the that allows people to better understand the role of the future in what they see. Being futures literate empowers your imagination, enhances your ability to prepare, recover, invent as changes occur. Being aware that the images that we hold of the future affect how we act in the present. We're not just bound by our past, but we're also bound by the images that we have of the future. So gaining an awareness and using that awareness is I think, a very powerful insight. Why is important now? Well, look at the stuff in the past. I've just got to list COVID, Brexit, climate change, inequalities in general. The world and our relationship with even the existential future of the earth and our species in it is so full of dread, dare I say. I think understanding how we relate to the future, how our fears and how our hopes might shape what we act, and our ability to imagine differently, I think, are fundamental more than ever now. So, and I think that theatre is something that can do that very well. We need these images of the future that will empower us to act differently now. And theatre, I think, does best. And my job have the work yet with the young people, because we're on the kind of first third of the development of the project. But forward to having nicer pictures next time.